If you think I look tired, you've fallen into my trap. Actually, just kidding. I'm super tired. Welcome back to another episode of Wander and Wonder. This time, currently out in the woods by a tiny town of about 200 people by Hysham, Montana, which is where I grew up as a kid. And these are the woods that, in a lot of ways, formed me into the wildlife biologist and just general lover of the outdoors I am today. I spent so many years of my childhood just running around in the trees out here, in the gravel banks, and searching for agates and bones and just all sorts of the fun stuff that you find outside. And those experiences were very formative in structuring my later life's path. And so it's pretty fun to hang out in these woods again for a time and kind of experience what they have to offer yet again. So this is a part of the Yellowstone River, and this whole area is fairly famous for its Montana agates. And you can see all of these rocks out here, just like this, what looks like a giant pile of gravel that somebody just like poured down. This is all from the river during the spring where the river will flood out. And any of these rocks could conceivably be a Montana agate, and they grow huge out here. So we've actually found agates that are something like 3 pounds or more. So it's a pretty impressive place. Let's see if we find anything. So I love the textures of the ground down here, because you have all those like super rounded rocks from the river, and then these brown leaves that all have these kinds of jagged edges in a way that is very different from the surrounding rocks. So it's just a really interesting kind of visual contrast here. Super beautiful. Hey, Kava. I really wish I had access to my other camera, the broken one right now, because these trees here, I've seen like 3 or 4 different woodpeckers all flying around and searching for insects and flying from tree to tree. But still pretty, still enjoyable. It's just there's a part of me, having engaged in wildlife filmmaking, that just really wishes I can capture it. But in the meantime, I'll just have to look at it and appreciate it and show the beautiful woods to you all. Let's see if that bird will show up on camera. I think it's what, like 3-toed woodpecker, I think. Kind of long bill on the tree there. Beautiful red, white, and black animal. Should be able to see it on camera. Walk a little bit closer. Gotta love woodpeckers. So you got flocks of Canada geese up there. Just these clouds of birds. And each of those dots actually have like a 3-ish foot wingspan. It's November, so during the migration season, out and about in force. Really nifty to see them. So I have no idea what species this is, but there's a dead fish in the water here with just like a gorgeous, like kind of forked and bright red tail. No idea what it died from, but that was unexpected. You know, it's funny to think about, right? Because on the one hand, there's this human instinct of, you know, this is a dead thing, we should be cautious. It's, you know, gross, should be careful. But like the rippling of the light through the water waves as they're going over the fish, the way that the fish is bent in the same direction as the waves are moving, and the color at the end guiding the eye in that direction. So it's funny, but even something like a dead fish in the water can have an immense amount of beauty around it. It's super cool. So let's go through the rock hunting process, because I'm almost like reminded of some of the like walking meditations of Buddhist monks that you'll see And it's a lot like fossil hunting, which I used to do a lot of before discovering wildlife biology as a career as a paleontologist. And basically, to summarize the process, I know this sounds really exciting, you're walking slowly and you're looking down and you're looking for rocks. So in parts that the river has recently deposited material on the rocks, it's really quite nice when when it lacks what we call silt, some of this kind of dirt particles. On the more freshly exposed river areas, the rocks will still be covered in this kind of muddy material. But here, they're quite clear and open, and so you can actually see the colors and the structures much easier. And so that is really good for going around trying to see some nifty stuff. Verbatim thought that just crossed my mind, I'm not looking for agates, I'm looking for pretty rocks that make Tor happy. So I didn't film the discovery, but this beautiful, shiny, somewhat translucent, orangish thing is a Montana agate. Not the largest I found out here by any means, but they're still always really super fun to find. Certainly hasn't grown old. So there is Kate from Katie Did, and there's Kava, and there's just an ocean of gravel. Potential agates and other cool rocks far into the horizon. So this right here is one of my favorite things to find. So this is petrified wood. So chunk of an ancient tree, who knows how many millions of years ago, that since had its materials replaced by stone. And you can see these like longitudinal lines on there. And it's always so cool to just like hold this chunk of wood that at one point in time was a living tree providing oxygen and all the things the trees do. And now, so many eons later, a random primate comes around, sees it in a gravel bed after having been turned to stone, and then takes it back home. I love that so much. A lot of the agates I found out here are super rounded. This thing, on the other hand, is just one of the squarest that I've seen. It's really cool, and I just love those I just love those translucent colors and everything. And it's just beautiful. Look at that. I'm glad my family lives here, because that's just world class. That is beautiful. Orange, tan, blue. So one of the rocks I love, why is it just not focusing at all? So one of the rocks I love finding out here is this stuff called Jasper. It's interesting. It's, I think, kind of undersung. It just has these really lovely saturated reds and oranges, and it's not particularly shiny and it's not very loud, but it just has this just like deepness of color that I just love. They're such cool rocks.